I'm Pastor Misty Howick, and this is Wisdom of Proverbs, chapter 31. Here we go. We are going to read chapter 31 together. This is the last chapter. Yay, last chapter. Last chapter of Proverbs that we're going to be reading together. This has been fun. It was very challenging for me to do a chapter a day. I failed, and apologies to everyone who was waiting for a chapter of the day sometimes and had to wait to the next day. But here we are, the end, and it's very interesting. I hope that you will find it as interesting as I am. It's the teaching of King Lemuel's mother. Some traditions have this as it's actually, instead of King Lemuel, it is Solomon, because tradition has it that Solomon wrote these proverbs. And so that would make his mother Bathsheba, and so that would make it wisdom from Bathsheba. However, in the Jewish Study Bible right here, we have, like Agur, Lemuel is from the North Arabian nation of Massa. The present passage has several Aramaisms and probably is foreign in origin. Though the passage is called Words of Lemuel, meaning a teaching he would repeat, it was composed by his mother. And this unit and the next share the theme of a wise mother. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and dig in. The words of King Lemuel, an oracle that his mother taught him. No, my son, no son of my womb. No, son of my vows. Do not give your strength to women, your ways to those who destroy kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, or for rulers to desire strong drink, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed and pervert the rights of all the afflicted. Give strong drink to one who is perishing, and wine to those in bitter distress. Let them drink and forget their poverty, and remember their misery no more. Speak out for those who cannot speak, for the rights of all the destitute. Speak out, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy. And here in this last part of chapter 31, we have Ode to a Woman of Strength. A woman of strength, who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from far away. She rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and tasks for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid for her household when it snows, for all her household are clothed in crimson. She makes herself coverings. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the city gates, taking his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She supplies the merchant with sashes. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her happy, her husband too, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her a share in the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the city gates. I don't know how many times, in fact, I think the only times I ever hear this particular passage of the Ode to a Woman of Strength said in churches is during memorial services for women who really, took care of their families really well. And I'm actually really impressed that some of the things that they aspire to or they lift up as an ideal woman include money management and selling items, planting a vineyard, which I would consider, to be something that a man would be doing, but instead they're also saying that the woman would have power to do that here, and they lift that up as a quality. There's trust in there, doing good to her husband, but also her husband doing good to her, being smart, with money, smart with her time, not being idle. She is kind and generous. In verse 20, she opens her hand to the poor and she reaches out her hands to the needy. Let's see. It talks about, making sure that her household is well taken care of and that they're looked upon in a good way. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She is courageous, right? She's courageous and brave. She looks well to the ways of her household. She does not eat the bread of idleness. For most of the Proverbs, it has been lifting up men, right? Or it has been directed to men, either from a man to his son, and these are the ways that you should be acting. These are the sayings of wisdom that I'm passing on to you. But here we have kind of an ode, some instruction for women. And I like that a lot. It flows in with the first part, which is that a mother is giving advice to her son or talking about her son in the ways that he should grow up. And that first part also, there's lots of generosity. Speak out for those who cannot speak. Verse 8, for the rights of all the destitute, speak out, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy. So in this chapter, we see lifting up the traits of generosity and kindness and justice and speaking out for those who need someone to speak up for them. There's also in the first 10 verses talking about not letting alcohol kind of rule your life, or women or prostitutes rule your life. Especially a king shouldn't be the one to overconsume in either of those. It's interesting that in verse 6 it says, give strong drink to one who is perishing and wine to those in bitter distress. The idea of alcohol being medicinal, and also a pain reliever. And so giving it to people who need pain relief instead of just imbibing socially, I suppose. So where else have you heard this ode to a woman of strength? Have you heard it preached on? Have you had a Bible study done on this particular ending of Proverbs? Is there something in it that strikes you as interesting? Obviously, we're coming from a different point of view where women's rights are not as much as they are now, and thinking equality. I would love to see more for men taking care of their family, more instructions of, men making sure that everyone's fed in their family and that they're making the clothes and stuff like that. But that's not the time period that this was written in. And so, again, I'm still surprised that the woman has some traits in here and some characteristics that I normally wouldn't attribute to her. So, including some of that physical labor and money management. Well, I hope you enjoyed Proverbs. Proverbs was super interesting. I'm glad that we worked through it together. This was as much educational for me as it was for you, I'm sure. So I hope that together we learned something and took away some wisdom. Not only, looking at these couplets and this the poetry of it, but also reminding ourselves that there's connection between what's written in the Hebrew Bible all the way through the New Testament, that the Hebrew Bible is what Jesus knew, and so he was pulling not only morality out of the Hebrew Bible, but also poetry, also tradition, and so some of that we can see in Proverbs. So as you move through this Holy Week and you move through Easter, I hope it's holy for you, and I hope that you have a wonderful Easter celebrating the resurrection. God bless.